Hi, this is Nathan Tintle. In this Learning Goal video, we will discuss how to apply the MAD statistic when comparing multiple group means. We will use the ambiguous prose data set to talk about this learning goal. The first step when applying the 3S strategy is to compute the statistic. That is a single number that summarizes the evidence against the null hypothesis. In this case, the null hypothesis is no association between the group you're in and your quiz score. In other words, that the average quiz score is the same in the three groups. Well, before, when we've computed a statistic when comparing means, we've taken the difference because we've only had two means to compare. But now we have three different average quiz scores. So what can we do? Well, one thing that we can do is we can compare each group to each other group, finding the difference between each pair of groups. Now, if we do this, we get three separate numbers, but we need a single number that summarizes the evidence against the null hypothesis. That is, are these groups different from each other or not? One option is to average the three of them together. But if some numbers are negative and others are positive, they can average out to zero because of cancellation. So a better option is to make them positive first and then average them together. In this case, if you average the three positive differences, you get an average difference of 1.16. This means that, on average, the difference between the groups is 1.16. In short, this is the mean absolute difference, or MAD statistic. You take all the differences in the means, you make them positive, and you average them together. A few words of caution: there are other options available, but they will yield different power, and in fact we'll look at a different version called an F statistic when we do a theory-based test. There's also a version of the MAD statistic when comparing multiple group proportions. Third, the MAD statistic is a natural extension of what we do when we compare two means. But keep in mind that because of the absolute value, in other words, that you take those differences and you make them positive, the MAD statistic will always be like a two-sided test, and that is looking for differences in the groups in any direction. And a final reminder, when you're computing the MAD statistic, don't forget to make the differences positive before you average them together.